Good morning, Chair
Good morning.
Lathan and Vice Chair Heisey and members of the County Commission. I'm Susan Edmondson, CEO of Downtown Partnership. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you a little bit of what's going on downtown. The timing is just right because this is when we finish our annual report on what we've done in 2015. And just last week, we issued something new called our State of Downtown Report. So I'll be sharing with you a little bit of both of those things. As you know, we at Downtown Partnership are working every day to ensure that downtown Colorado Springs serves as the economic, civic, and cultural heart of our community. And we're really quite thrilled. I hope you saw the headlines last week that downtown Colorado Springs was named in the top 10 downtowns nationally, something we're very proud of. And frankly, it came as a total surprise to receive that notification, but something we plan to leverage widely. And I'll just also add this ranking. We sort of drilled down, and there were some pretty serious metrics behind it. It particularly noted our abundance of arts and creative industries, our great parks and trail systems, and also things like our low vacancy rate, because we're doing very well in filling vacancies downtown. So something we're very pleased to see. I always like to remind folks that we at Downtown Partnership actually serve 4 organizations. So it's sort of various tools in the toolkit to do what we do downtown. So we manage the work of 2 taxing districts downtown, our Business Improvement District and our Downtown Development Authority. And then we also have our nonprofit arms. So with those nonprofit arms, we're able to use our membership dollars, sponsorship dollars, individual donors to supplement those other dollars to provide the things that we see downtown. So very brief highlights of some of our work of this past year through the Downtown Development Authority. Something I'm particularly pleased with is that through our staff work, we were able to provide direct lead or tenant support for 11 of the new businesses downtown, occupying 35,000 square feet of leased space. We provided opinions and guidance on 14 cases before the Downtown Review Board, assisted with ribbon-cutting events at new small businesses opening. We established an online real estate vacancy database on our website, so businesses that are looking to be downtown can see what type of properties may be a good fit for them. We provided over $300,000 in grants to businesses and events to stimulate the economy of downtown and improve the pedestrian feel of downtown. And we also engaged in a significant update to our land use master plan, and I'll go into that a little bit more in just a minute. Through our Business Improvement District, we are working every day to keep things clean on our 32 blocks, 7 days a week. Dealing with things like snow removal, which was not easy last year, 23 tons of ice melt used. We're also not tracking well for this year, as I'm sure you all have experienced that same thing with the big storm last month. We maintained the flower beds and flower pots downtown. Last year, we added new holiday decor. We refurbished our wayfinding signage, added new lights in the trees, which has improved safety as well as made downtown very sparkly and beautiful and welcoming. And then we do a variety of marketing activity for our downtown businesses to really show folks that there's a lot to do in shopping and dining and cultural activities and events downtown. And then through Downtown Ventures, our nonprofit organization, we run the Art on the Streets public art program, which is entering its 18th year. Wow. That brings about a dozen works of art downtown for the period of 1 year. And then we also have a purchase fund. So this past year, the work that we purchased and donated for permanent placement downtown is that Chrome X that you see out on Cascade Avenue. So that's now part of the permanent collection of the city. We were happy to add that to our collection of art for the community. We partner with the Parks Department on Skate in the Park. It is the only outdoor ice skating rink in the region in Acacia Park. It took off like crazy in its 3rd year, saw 60% growth in attendance. A little bit of that was due to extending the days, but it was really just that all those days performed better than previous years. So we had over 15,000 people out skating in the park. We also do activities like our First Friday gallery walks, which have really grown now to about 22 venues that participate. So that's both commercial galleries, but also businesses and other entities are seeing the value of adding art and then staying open later and providing that great activity for folks. We operate the Downtown Sunday Market to activate Acacia Park, provide walking tours. We did some outdoor film screenings. So really a whole variety of activities to bring people downtown and celebrate the heart of our city. So I do want to share with you a bit of what we shared last week in our State of Downtown report, and I will be providing you copies of that. We said, well, why does downtown matter to our community? Downtown is very small in the footprint of our very large city and region. We're less than 2% of the city's landmass, and yet we contribute 14 times our geographic weight in sales tax. So that's 14 times more sales tax per acre than the city overall. So through our State of Downtown report, we really are looking at, from a real estate perspective, of how are we doing in filling our properties and making sure we're providing the kinds of product that the community is looking for. So we measure that in traditional areas of residential, retail and restaurant, office and workforce, and hospitality. So I just want to share very few of those findings that are in our State of Downtown report. One of the things we saw last year that then had its grand opening in January was Blue Dot Place Apartments. That's 33 apartment units, but what we like to remind people about in terms of turning the corner with providing folks with residential options downtown, this was the first for-rent, new-built living option provided in our city center since the 1960s. We're a little overdue. We got some catching up to do, but we're turning the corner on that. And that is especially important because it's a product type that people are demanding. Certainly we hear about millennials wanting that urban lifestyle, but also baby boomers and empty nesters are really wanting a more city experience where they can live somewhere where they can walk to shopping and dining, and we really need to provide that type so folks will either choose our community or choose to stay in our community because they may be demanding that type that we haven't in the past been offering as much of. And another reason why that's important when we look at our data is that we, downtown, have 12 employees to every one resident living in downtown. So that's a real imbalance. That shows that we could provide more of that opportunity for folks to live and work in roughly the same area. Of course, you never get a 1-to-1 ratio. You wouldn't necessarily even want that. But really, for a thriving downtown, you'd want maybe a 6 to 7 to 1 kind of ratio. So again, we know we have more to do in terms of residential, but it really is starting to happen. And just some early indicators of that, when you look at sort of a market rate price of $1,100 a month rent, our vacancy rate at that price downtown is 1.6%, whereas citywide it's 3.6%. So again, we're seeing the demand. We just need to begin meeting that demand. And I am happy to say, for those of you who are at our annual breakfast in the fall, one of the things we talked about was a goal of 500 new residential units completed or under construction by 2018. We are well on that way. We have at least 440 units in the pipeline in various stages of development. So we're quite confident that we're going to be able to exceed that goal. So very briefly, in terms of retail and restaurant, and why does it matter? We know that downtown has the largest concentration of locally owned restaurants in the region, and over 90% of our street-level businesses downtown are locally owned. And as I'm sure you know, when folks shop local, that money stays in our community more, so we always want to encourage folks to shop local. So last year downtown, we saw 17 net new retailers, restaurants, and street-level service providers. So a street-level service provider, that might be something like a salon or something along those lines. In terms of sales, we held steady. It was a solid year, not necessarily remarkable, but these days with challenges from the internet or some of the big box stores, holding steady is okay, but we certainly know we want to increase the sales downtown. And we did have some very solid months in July and in September, October, so we believe we're trending in the right direction on some of that. So a few highlights in terms of workforce and office downtown. Again, downtown has 20 times the businesses per square mile as the city overall, and 14 times more employees per square mile. So again, that dense experience is what a lot of businesses we find are looking for these days. They want the opportunity for their employees to be able to step outside and go to coffee, or easily network and meet them, folks that they're doing business with. So we're hearing businesses say, we want to be where the center of business is, and more that is in an urban environment. And that really trends with national trends, where kind of the suburban office park is facing a few more challenges as more businesses are looking for the kind of dense environment that a city center provides. So I will say very little office absorption last year. But again, there's some very interesting trends and numbers going on. As we look at each quarter, rates were going up, which overall shows that there's greater demand, and some of that vacancy was going down. And we do have less Class A vacancy than the city overall. So what we're really finding is, as you know, you're not going to get to like 0% vacancy before you start building back up again. We're reaching this very interesting point now that we're seeing demand for certain product types that we're not offering, which means it's time to start creating some new things as well. More and more folks are demanding kind of that open floor plan office and some of those kind of edgier product types that we have some of that, but we're needing a little more of that. So it's an important time for us to continue filling the vacancies that are out there, but also responding to what businesses are saying they're wanting by looking at the kinds of things that they're asking for. So as we track development and investment in our city center, we have realized, in adding up the numbers, we have cracked the $500 million mark in new and announced development, public and private development and investment in our downtown. So briefly how that works down, we've been tracking this since 2013. So you have just under 75,000 completed investment and development, 157,000 under construction, and 280,000 in the announced category. And just a few background on some of that criteria. We do make that pretty rigid criteria. To be announced, you really have to have a firm location. It's not just a neat idea. It's that you have a location announced and you're moving forward on things. That large figure for under construction includes the Cimarron I-25 interchange and how important that is for our whole region. So that's a big chunk of those dollars. You look at the ones under complete, much of that is great work Colorado College has done with their master plan and improvements on their campus and new building, but it also includes things like North Star Bank, A&B Bank, Blue Dot, some of that other new construction and improvement activity that we're seeing. Just to show you that we're not just goofing around and being cheerleaders and making it up. That's our criteria and our numbers for some of the things we looked at to prepare our State of Downtown report. And very briefly, I want to also remind you that we are in the midst of a major update to our land use master plan. Imagine Downtown Plan was created a handful of years ago, involved input from hundreds of citizens. We are doing an update to that plan. So we are keeping all the good work from before, checking off the list what we've accomplished, but also needing some new focus on some things. We did find that original plan wasn't as tactical as we would like. So this new plan is going to be a little bit more specific in tactics. It's going to be more market-based, so it's not the kind of plan where everybody gets to put their big dream in, whether or not the market really supports it. So it's looking at the reality of what is appropriate for our downtown at this time. It integrates the work of other really good existing plans out there, be that the Parks Master Plan that was completed in 2014, the Regional Non-Motorized Plan, numerous other plans where we're taking the good work of that, seeing how it applies to downtown and integrating that. And then finally coming up with really high-quality deliverables, be they print or digital, so that when businesses are looking to build, develop, invest in our downtown, they have the right kind of information to make good business decisions. They want to know things like, am I going to be near a bike lane? What's going on with this trail near my business? We're hearing more and more of those questions. So when we can provide them the information to make good decisions about where they locate their business, we know that's going to be a big help. This is still in the sort of editing, design phase. We've gone through numerous focus groups and meetings. We had a great community forum last November over at Studio B at the Pikes Peak Center. So now it's in the pull it all together stage, and it'll be rolling out in the next few months. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, this is the second time that I saw this report, and it is, it's great both times. It's better now to see it again and take in more information. It's really pretty extraordinary how
Thank you.
the downtown area is changing and how business is growing. It's still some challenges, as we always have, but it's going very, very well. I appreciate that
Well,
work.
thank you.
Any questions or comments? Commissioner Clark.
Thank you. And Susan, it was nice to see you yesterday at the update on the Cimarron and I-25 interchange. It's an important project, and we hope to see that being completed in 2017.
Yes.
We're anxious to get that done.
We are too. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and I remember actually taking part in the last downtown action plan, so it's really nice to see that you're updating that. And public art has certainly been a focus that I think is important too, and I appreciate the downtown partnership looking at how things need to really work better and to be a more attractive community. One thing I wanted to point out too that I think you can share with businesses, it's not just specifically relevant to downtown, but here in El Paso County, we're the only county in the state of Colorado that doesn't charge a business personal property tax. And that's an incentive that we pass along to businesses so that they never have to pay it in the first place. They never pay it to get a rebate. And I think it's important to point out that they won't have to pay. Now, it doesn't mean that the city and the other taxing entities, that we don't collect it for them and pass it through. But here at the county, we don't require businesses, which I believe the last time we calculated was countywide a savings of around $7 million to the businesses in our community that is like a direct rebate that they never have to pay. So I think that is a
very
really,
good point.
and we really value our partnership here with our downtown campus. And so however we can be of assistance and make sure that you keep in touch with us on the comings and goings and what's happening in the downtown, we really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And
Thank you very much.